Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I am your host, Emma Capotis. Welcome to the first episode of season 5 of the podcast. Happy New Year again, you guys. I'm so excited to be kicking off this new season of Rave Culture Cast. We are kicking off our 5th season with one of our artists to watch in 2023, Babyweight. Babyweight is an incredible DJ, producer, and label head from Washington, D.C. She's created a loyal following of fans through her authenticity and infectious sound and has garnered the attention of platforms like BBC Radio 6, Diplo's Revolution, Mixmag, and many, many more. Today, we're going to be chatting about all things music, inspiration, DJ culture, and inclusivity in the music scene. So let's get started. But before we dive in, fam, let's shout out my favorite festival bag company, Lunchbox. So Lunchbox makes an anti-theft suite of products for any festival goer looking to keep your items and belongings safe, all while being in really sexy, sleek designs. So Lunchbox celebrates individuality, self-expression, and safety in this community, which I love, through their line of bags, from their iconic main stage hydration pack, which is a personal favorite of mine, to their more compact snack and sling packs. More to come on those. So you guys can save $11 off your hydration pack with my last name, code CAPOTES, KAPOTES. $11 off your hydration pack, or if you guys want to opt for the snack and sling, you can use code EMMAK for $5 off of those bags. So code CAPOTIS saves $11 off the hydration pack, and code EMMAK saves you $5 off the snack or sling. Definitely worth the investment, you guys. I have not worn any other bags to festivals, shows, anything like that other than these hydration packs and these snack and sling pack from Lunchbox. So wanted to shout them out. Link will be down below. All right, with all that being said, let's kick things off with Babyweight. All right, you guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast. Today, we are kicking off the new season with a very special guest, one of our artists to watch for 2023. So I'm super excited to have her here. Her cheeky style of dance music is super infectious and has earned the attention of major festivals like EDC Vegas, Dirtybird Campout, Hard Summer, and many, many more, as well as the attention of peers in Femme House, LPGOB, Claude VonStroke, the whole Dirtybird crew, Walker and Royce, Chris Lake, many more. She's also appeared on respected platforms like BBC Radio 6, Diplo's Revolution, and Mixmag, and many, many more to come. So I'm super excited to introduce you guys to her story and music today. So please welcome Babyweight. How's it going?
It's going. Happy Monday. How are you?
Yeah, happy Monday. I guess we're still saying Happy New Year. How is January started off for you so far?
Oh my goodness. Well, my birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, hell yes. Happy birthday.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Either I'm going to get bogged down by my neuroses
Right.
and planning and do nothing.
Yeah.
Or might go full send and go to Florida for a couple of days. We don't know. We don't know.
Nice. Okay, for some time off or
Um, well, I mean, I can't think of a better way to celebrate my birthday than going to Disney World. Seems to be
yes.
the one pocket of Florida that's not surrounded by hate speech at the moment. So,
Oh, yeah. I feel
so
that. Are you a big Disney World person?
um, a lot of yeah, I consider myself like a low key Disney adult, like not
Okay.
like full blown like dress
Right.
up as like a character, go to the park, whatever. But like, I see all the Disney movies,
Mhm.
see all the Pixar stuff. I like, have been known to wear T-shirts that have like Mickey Mouse or like Marvel or Star Wars on them. Like, I
Totally
am
fair. Yeah.
like by the very definition a total nerd. And
Yeah.
whenever I do go to Disney, one of the theme parks, I do feel that sense of like childlike wonder, and
hmm
uh it's yeah, I definitely enjoy going. So
I feel that. Yeah,
Yeah, who
I'm with you.
knows?
I'm with you on that. We were big like Disney World people growing up, and through I think the last time I went was when I was like 25, but I just tweeted this the other day. I've been on a TikTok binge of watching people reviewing the food and snacks in Disney World, and I can't stop watching these videos. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but now I want to book a trip too. So,
I'm maybe we should book a trip
yeah.
together. Like,
I like need to eat the food.
yeah. Well, it's like the last time I went was actually last month, back at the beginning of December.
Okay.
Because I played a show in LA. I had released an EP on Pop Gang and just stayed an extra day or two. Um, and we went to Disney, and it was the first time going to the Star Wars park, which, mind you,
Mm,
full blown tears. Like
right.
saw Chewbacca in the corner and immediately melted
Yeah.
down. And so it was the first time I had an opportunity to try any of the Star Wars food, and I was just like
Mm-hmm.
everything. I was like, we're getting a Ronto wrap, we're getting a blue milk, we're getting a green milk, we're
Yes.
getting
We got to do it
yes,
all.
like doing it all. And like the crew I was with, they were just like, "You're eating a lot of food," and I'm just shut up.
We're only here once. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
You got the full experience. That was I haven't been when the last time I was there, Star Wars, that whole section wasn't built yet. So I need to experience that.
it's it's incredible. Like I say this every single time I go to Disney. And even to a lesser extent, I would say Harry Potter at Universal. The level of
Hmm.
the detail that they do in this, because they know that there's diehards that are going there that will pick apart everything,
Yeah.
is just so insurmountable. Like it gives me hope for boomers who
Hmm.
like are developing this stuff. Um, because I don't know, it's just like, wow, like these
Hmm.
people are clearly paying attention, or they have unpaid interns
Right.
running around that are just like, did we get it right, did we get it right?
Yeah.
So
No, it's the attention to detail is crazy, even with like the characters that they have and like the preparation that goes into all that. Like I could not even imagine being like so on point all the time. It's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, well, I'm excited for you either way, no matter what you decide to do for your birthday. And
Oh,
I
thank
know
you.
the last time we spoke was I think, well, last time I saw you in person was EDC Vegas back in May,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And I know it's like, I don't even know how many months that's been, like 7 months or 8 months probably now at this point. But big picture, like, how did the rest of your year go? Like, what were some of the biggest moments for you, like looking back on 2022?
Wow. Well, first and foremost, I had such a wonderful time getting interviewed by you at EDC
Mhm.
Vegas. Like
Hey.
you asked some incredible questions, and you were such a thoughtful host on that love seat. And I
Thank you.
was incredibly humbled that you found time to catch my set in that like
Hmm.
weird little hangar stage off to the side.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so I just want to say thank you.
No, thank
That
you.
meant a lot. Um, let's see. This summer was wild. I played a lot of Pride festivals. I played Hard Summer, which for me was like
Mm,
a benchmark festival. Like I remember when the very first lineup came out in, I don't know, like 2011 or 2012 or whatever,
mhm.
whenever that was. The lineup was like A Track, James Murphy from LCD Sound System, Boys Noise. Like it was a
Mm,
very like, we see Hard Summer as this massive festival
mhm.
with giant lights and pyro and stuff. And it's like the very first festival was like a bunch of homies that kind of like knew each other,
Yeah.
and we're just like doing like oh, let's see, like, let's throw a thing out in California and see what happens.
Yep.
And since that initial lineup, I had always wanted to go. And so for my first time attending that festival, um, being the year that I actually play that festival, was just mind blowing to me.
Mhm.
Um, and I know I wasn't the only one that felt this way. I've become pretty close with Rekno over the last year, and
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about it before his set, and he was saying like, this was a full circle moment for me. He'd wanted to play it for
Yeah,
like 6 years, like.
that's awesome.
So it's not lost on me how fortunate I am. And then I did Dirtybird Campout in the fall, and that was incredible. And
Mm-hmm.
got to play a set of all original music, and the amount of uh, support and appreciation from that set. I still get people coming into my DMs on
Yeah.
Instagram saying like, what was that one track? Or it's like, you completely made my weekend. Or
Mm-hmm.
um that's just mind-blowing to me. And to be able to play the last song of the family set was a
Nice.
really special, like, to have uh uh dad Claude
Yep.
VonStroke kind of like standing right next to me as I'm playing the last song, and like turning around to him and seeing him smiling and vibing, like,
That's
was,
so dope.
yeah, it was like, it definitely put things into perspective for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this year has been a year of, I would say, uh growth, but also like blessings that I did not think
Mm-hmm.
I earned. It's weird. Crazy
Yeah.
things happen, and you wind up sitting there and you're going like, how did I get here?
Right.
It's like,
Right.
have I earned this really? Like, I'm sitting here drinking a Perrier, and LPGOB's like 2 feet away from me, just like vibing, being her Grateful Dead self. Like, have I
Right.
earned this? Um, and so it's just a constant conversation that I've been having with myself. And so I think going into this year,
Mm.
it's kind of, for me, kind of like taking a breath, and like, maybe instead of questioning that I've earned the spot that I'm at, taking advantage of the spot that I'm at so that I can bring other people up from behind to help get them to that spot, if that makes any sense.
Oh, 100%. No, I love it's that was very thoughtfully put. And I will say the names like in your circle and who you've surrounded yourself with too are like people who I think of who have like amazing energy and have like created really unique experiences. So I think it makes a lot of sense when like your worlds collide. Like it seems like you've really found your people in this scene in a way. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Dirtybird Campout, so I'm going
Yeah,
to skip ahead in my questions, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
going I was going back through your feed and I noticed like for you that seemed to be like a really kind of like transformational weekend, and like you mentioned the set that you had. What is the culture like there, and how did you feel about like that whole experience that they've created?
So I've known a lot of the Dirty Bird crew for, I want to say, the majority of the time I've been DJing, like even prior to me coming out and announcing I was going to transition and the rebrand from my dead name to babyweight. Um, so I'd known them for a long time, and like we kind of, we're, I wouldn't say friends, but like buddy buddy is maybe a good way of putting it. And so over the course of the pandemic, I became even closer to a lot of these people, because we were all sitting on Twitch streams and all on Twitter and talking to one another. And my name got floated as, and this was in 2021, got floated as a silent disco DJ. And
Nice.
so they had me come play the festival. They wound up promoting me to the one opening the Bass Lodge stage on the first day
Mhm.
because someone got sick and couldn't make it. And so they
Mhm.
were like, hey, do you want to play this spot on one of the main stages? And so I did that. Camp Out in 2021 was like kind of my like, hi, I'm here.
Mhm.
And then they asked me back for Camp In, and I played a set on the very last night right after the main headliner, like during bingo, and I had no like what most people would call a conflict. Like, I don't see it as a conflict. I think we're all in kind of like the same boat trying to like keep it afloat. But
Yep.
like people going to the festivals be like, oh my God, this is such a conflict for me.
Right.
It's like we're not it's like we're not competing here. The other DJ is literally in a conference room across the hall.
Right.
Like you can bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
So like but I was like sandwiched like right after one person, right before Justin J. So it was like the perfect set time. And that place packed out. And like it was wild. People started asking me about a bunch of stuff. And I had been there over the whole weekend. And like my mom was there the whole weekend. So like she became a legend. Like it became a whole thing.
Yeah.
So when time came for camp out this year, I got much more involved with like some of the things that were happening at Claude's Cabin, which is where they do stand-up and variety shows and things like that. And we did Not Your Mom's Prom, which was an LGBTQ meetup for the queer members of the Dirtybird flock and their allies. And it was prom themed. So we had like, people were competing for prom queen, and we had like photo opportunities, and we had like a last dance where when somebody got crowned, we had a drag queen come out and sing Donna Summer. Like it was,
oh my God, that's iconic.
It was a whole thing. And then right after that, in the same day, I think I played my set right after Justin J of all that original music. And the theme for the weekend was, instead of ending it, why don't you send it? And so every opportunity that I had to play, whether it was a renegade or going back to back with somebody or whatever, it was just like, okay, fine. And I don't think I slept for 4 days. Right. I was constantly running around.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't really realize what I was doing at the time, but in the weeks that followed, the amount of people who started coming out of the woodwork when I was sharing photos or posting things on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, of just people saying like, you don't know how incredible it is to see queer talent on a stage like that, or to see someone who looks like you, like someone who is like not like some thin skinny model person or whatever, doing what you're doing, like the power in that. And one person sent me a message, and it's going to make me very emotional, so if I start crying, like, I'm sorry.
This is your floor. No, you do your thing.
But there was somebody who was a fan of my music and was a fan of Ms. Worthy's music, who had come to camp in or camp out the year before, like leading up to camp out this year. And seeing us perform and be who we are so authentically gave them the encouragement to come out as trans to their friends and family.
Wow.
And they had sadly passed away before camp out. And so their friends brought
That's
their
incredible.
friends brought this person's ashes to camp out.
Oh my God.
So at my set and at Christie's set, so that they could scatter some of the ashes, because they were looking forward to seeing us and meeting us now as their most authentic self.
Wow.
And this is no shade to John Summit. I know what he does. Listen, I know what he does. Like, people are really into it, right?
Yeah.
but I think there's a difference, like when we're talking about using our platform to
Mm-hmm.
making people's lives better. There's a difference between, you know, being like, life's a party, party it up, party, 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 party till you die,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of positivity that comes from that, and the kind of positivity that comes with being encouraged to live your truth because you're empowered by other people
Mm-hmm.
doing that in a space and you didn't think it was possible for yourself.
Right.
And just the amount of stories like that I've gotten over the last year is a lot to like
Mm-hmm.
mentally process. And I don't take this position lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a lot of people that this is incredibly important. So,
Mm-hmm.
long-winded answer. How's Dirtybird Campout?
No. That was beautifully put. Wow.
But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
would say it was life-changing. It put things in perspective for me in a lot of
Wow.
ways. So
I think you left me a little bit speechless here. That was incredible. No, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I can't even imagine the feeling of going through like everything you've done, like your own journey, and then having people connect with you on that level. Like you said, there is a responsibility, I'm sure, that you feel having the platform you have, but I mean, do you just feel now that like you are just living your purpose every single day and being your truest self?
um I would say every day is a fight. Like every
Mm-hmm.
day is a struggle, right?
Right.
Like things are definitely easier um now that I've shared this part of myself with the world and stopped
Mm-hmm.
keeping it a secret. Um but on the flip side, it presents new challenges. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's a matter of every day kind of looking at those challenges and those struggles and kind of coming to terms with the fact that I have to face those things
Mm-hmm.
and move beyond it so that I can do the things that I was put on this mortal coil to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say that it's not so much finding a purpose so much as um, understanding that I have a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like, oh, I'm looking for something to do. It's,
Right.
oh, this is something that's been thrust upon me, and am I either going to do the right thing or am I going to squander this?
Mm-hmm. Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how does that relay into your music and the shows that you play and the different decisions that you make? Like, how does that all kind of fall into place together?
That's a great question. As far as the music I make, I mean, I think you can see a through line kind of like where my music started to shift and change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially from what I was making before, pre-transition and post-transition. In the last year, my music has been much more unapologetically queer. I've been going out of my way to work with artists that are part of the LGBTQ community or on the spectrum somewhere, and helping amplify those persons' voices, um, as well as I don't think there was a single show this year where I didn't get on the microphone at one point and say, uh, uh, trans lives matter and a woman's body is her own fucking business. Can I cuss on here, by the
Oh
way?
yeah. I was gonna say, please
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Um, I think it's important that for us, the moment that you're put on a stage in front of
Mm-hmm.
people, doesn't matter how big the stage is or how many other people there, people are
Yep.
looking at you. And so if you have the spotlight on yourself, it's important to stand there and say what you believe in. and not kind of let haters win. Because I mean, I'll be honest, like there are people in the music industry and even fans, just like regular everyday Joe concert goers,
Yep.
who don't want to hear those things on that stage by that DJ.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, we came here for music. We did not come here for a message. And music, music is the message.
Yeah.
Like, music is inherently political. Even before recordings, music was how we shared stories. It's how we got morals across to people. It's how we, you know, it's how we shared our history, our culture with one another. Music, by its very core set of principles, is a political art form. And so, you know, we have lots of transphobic, racist, homophobic, misogynist people going to shows, going to festivals, booking shows, booking festivals, signing records. And it's important for us to take advantage of being on those stages and saying, like, listen, what's happening behind closed doors or out there in the crowd, it's not acceptable. And I get that it's kind of biting the hand that feeds. But if you're not doing that, like, and you're just living a complacent life, then I feel like you're not truly standing up for people's humanity. So
yeah. And I mean, it's like, it's one thing that you took some of the words out of my mouth, but it's one thing too, even like it's your moment, it's your set, like whatever visuals you decide on putting up there too. Like I know LP does a lot of that with her visuals, and it's way more impactful to do something that describes who you are and what you stand for than, like, no offense, having like, I don't know, fucking dinosaurs behind you that look crazy or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what are we really saying there? So I think what you choose to do with your set is your own. And it is interesting though, because like you'd like to think that in the dance music community, and I'm sure there is, I've seen it, it is a really welcoming and accepting community. And there are people who are very open to different levels of consciousness and things like that. But then depending on the event or the market you're in or whatever it may be, you're going to have plenty of people there who just want to party and get fucked up. And that's why they're there. So you as an artist never know who's going to be in the crowd in front of you. And I can imagine that being a stressful scenario sometimes.
Yeah. And like, I don't want this to become, I mean, there's other questions that we got to get answered and stuff. And I don't want this to become an echo chamber between two women talking about misogyny and hateful BS in the music industry. As every conversation on Clubhouse in 2020 turned into, but like, the one thing that I will say is I think, it's important to recognize that, not only do we have a responsibility to speak up for people with this platform, but we also have to understand that with that, you will get pushback. And which is why it's not a surprise to me anymore that like whenever I speak up on like an Instagram live or like whenever I post something on Twitter about something like, you know, trans people getting murdered or that I lose followers. Like it like at this point, it's not a shock to me. When I came out as trans back in 2020, my follower count decreased quite a bit, like the moment I posted that. And it's clear to me that like those people aren't meant to be part of my community, which is maybe something that my manager or my agent might like shoot me a look if they were here to see me say that, because they're just like, we want as many people as possible at your shows. What are you doing? But those people are not going to bring the correct kind of respect and humanity to my shows, or to my sets at a festival. And I don't want to put people who are like me or who are allies of my community
Mm-hmm.
to be in a space that becomes unsafe
Right. Right.
because you have toxic people there. Um, as far as like my sets go, my political message and stuff like that, I think I covered that. But like as far as my music goes, like especially the music that I'm making going into this year, it's incredibly personal. There are themes of me coming to terms with my depression, my
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, my um, my my journey of
Mm-hmm.
self-discovery, my gender, um, my my sexual orientation. And I'm working with Carnage Kills again, who I made House Princess with. We're working on a project together, and
Nice.
everything there's it's just banger after banger after banger.
Hell yes.
Um, so yeah,
Excited for that. I mean, on
yeah,
the flip side, like I know obviously your music is healing a lot of people and doing all of the thing. Like at the Rave Allegiant, I think it was a Allegiant Rave hangar where we saw you. Like I said, I brought a couple friends in there and who discovered you that weekend, and they were like having an absolute blast. It was such a fun set. But for you, who's either like whose music heals you or in general like gets you excited or is inspiring you right now? Like who are you listening to?
that's a very loaded question. I
Yeah.
think my answer is not going to be what people want to hear, but I listen to a lot of Casey Musgraves. I listen to a lot of Billie Eilish. I listen to um, bands like Soccer Mommy. I listen to Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, Death Cab for Cutie. They're
Hmm.
celebrating their 20-year anniversary of transatlanticism in the Postal Service this
Oh,
year.
wow.
So I've been re-listening to those records on repeat. As far as electronic musicians, it's hard not to listen to my music and also think of artists like, and I know this just because people compare me to my face to
Mm,
people. Uh, Walker and Royce, Justin Martin, Bicep,
mhm,
Fred again, Caribou to a certain extent, Jamie
mhm,
XX. Um, I've been really into Romy's music. Actually, that whole crew of the XX, like Jamie
mhm.
XX, Romy, and Oliver Sim. All three of them have been putting out incredible music over the last 18 months.
Sure.
Um, and so that's been my ebb and flow. It's been like a kind of like a wishy-washy thing.
Mhm.
Although I just came across an artist. I just had a guest mix on Bless Madonna's show this past weekend,
Mhm.
and the guest mix right after mine was by an artist named Junior Zimba,
Okay.
or Junior Simba. I think it's Junior Simba,
Okay.
um, and they make music that just feels like a warm hug.
Mm.
Um, and I was like, we need to collab right now.
Yeah.
Like let's do this, please. Um, and so maybe something will come with that. But I've been really into that. And I would say the most mind blowing live performance I saw this whole year. Um, out of every single festival I went to, and show that I was at would probably be more Kismet. I
Love
think
more.
I think if we were to pick somebody who's carrying the torch from Sophie, rest in
Mm.
peace, and creating music that sounds like cellophane,
Mm.
the way that cellophane looks, more Kismet is that person. And uh, I really respect what they're doing.
Mhm.
Um, And to a certain extent, I mean, there's people that are connected to that too. Like
Yeah.
Recno, I think, is incredible. Like their performances is great.
Yeah.
But more Kismet for me, even though it's not music I would normally gravitate towards, but it's like it's an energy and it's an ambiance and
Mm-hmm.
it's an aesthetic that I can really get behind.
Mm-hmm.
And to see somebody that young be so mature beyond their years
Mm-hmm.
and like really understand what you can do with the power of music production and how hard you can push it is just really like gives me goosebumps every time I think about it.
Yeah.
Every time I think about it. It's like seeing Elton John when Elton John was like 20 years old in like a honky tonk bar in LA.
Yeah.
Like
Literally.
it's that level of just musical genius.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so really excited to
Yeah.
see what they put out this year.
I could not agree with you more. I think I probably within the last 2 years found them, and just seeing like that the debut album they put out, everything from like the artwork, the whole tour created, like it is also wild to me to see somebody having that much vision at such a young age. I'm sure they don't like their age being brought up anymore, but it is like incredible just to see everything they've accomplished. I think they just turned 18, which is crazy. So I totally agree with you there. I'm excited to see what they continue to do. But those are some good recommendations. I'm gonna have to list those down below so people can look them up. But it's cool to see what you're looking at. And I was wondering while you were chatting too, like growing up, were you going to a lot of festivals or shows? Like what was the music scene like, and kind of like, yeah, how were you influenced by the local scene?
So where I grew up, like I was sandwiched right between Baltimore and Washington D.C.
Okay.
So Washington D.C. and Baltimore both have very eclectic independent music
Mm-hmm.
scenes. Baltimore especially is responsible for giving us like Beach House, Dan Deacon, Animal Collective, like Future Islands. Like there's some incredible music coming out of Baltimore. And then on the
Mm-hmm.
flip side of that, DC, like when I was in college, like coming up through college, you saw Moombahton getting created there.
Mm.
Um, there's Go Go, which has been part of the DC music community forever, and Go Go as a culture, um, I would say is like the original Dirtybird. Like it's a culture that's steeped in like people having such hardcore devotion for these bands and going to see them in like people's backyards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sound that you can only get from this part of the Mid-Atlantic. And then indie dance was a big thing, especially with U Street Music Hall in the early aughts. Um, so, and we have historic clubs here. I mean, like we have the 930 Club, we have
Mm.
the Black Cat in DC. Both of those are DC venues. Merriweather Post Pavilion is a historic venue in the US. It's kind of like seeing a show at the Gorge or Red Rocks.
Mm. Nice.
And that's 20 minutes from my house where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Animal Collective even named an album after Merriweather Post Pavilion. Like it's a huge
Wow.
venue. I actually got to play that venue this past year in a full circle moment. I
Oh,
went from
wow.
being like a kid seeing shows there, like 13-year-old snot nosed kid seeing
Yeah.
shows there, to like playing this 20,000 person amphitheater at a sold out show before Duran Duran. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was like,
That's fucking wild. Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's like you think about where you've come, like how far you've come, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, this is crazy. So the culture here, it's a very musical community.
Mm-hmm.
And the shows that I went to primarily were a lot of indie alternative shows. So I was going to see Death Cab for Cutie, Cold War Kids,
Mm-hmm.
Rah Rah Riot, Vampire Weekend, Beach House. Like that
Nice.
was independent music and alternative music is what formed my brain. And I feel like when it comes to songwriting, especially in songs where I have my own vocals, there's going to be a lot of that in 2023. A lot of the songwriting draws inspiration from that. And like my choices of organ sounds and piano sounds and how I use reverb and things, it's all informed by alternative music. And so my sound is kind of like a weird mishmash of that. And the show that made me want to become a DJ was I was at Virgin Mobile Free Fest in 2010, and I was in the pit for LCD Sound System, and it was my first time seeing them live. And I think I had heard This Is Happening and Sound of Silver, those two albums. And seeing electronic music performed in that way. And I had seen Deadmau5 the year before. So like, I wasn't like, this wasn't like new to me.
Right.
But seeing LCD Sound System do what they did instantly made me go, electronic music, this is what I need to be doing. This is what I'm about. This is my life. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And I started throwing house parties like the very next weekend. Nice. Like we bought like a shitty sound system at like the local Goodwill. I think it was actually called like Value Village or something, right. or Vintage Village. Yeah. And we bought a shitty sound system and we started playing our records and we were holding listening parties. And like it became like the hipster hangout, like where people would come and just do their drugs and like we would just party. And it was counter programming to the, oh, we're going to listen to like Kesha and Katy Perry.
And whatever's on the radio at the time. Yeah.
Tayo Cruz. You remember him? Like it was that.
Like my freshman year of college. Yes.
Yeah. So
I remember.
Yeah. You're just like, don't remind me.
Yeah.
That was a dark period.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like we were throwing those parties and then it just became like just like a slippery slope from there, like all downhill. Like that's all I thought about was like, all right, are we throwing a party this weekend? If so, like what's the vibe? How are we going to do this? Like, are we going to make it a thing where it's our apartment plus the apartment below us? Like it became like ragers pretty much.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Wow. So, and then I two questions. So for somebody who wants to get started or like at whatever point they're in their life, like my husband just bought me my first like DJ controller for Christmas. So I can finally like dabble and I'm very excited about it, but I'm like I haven't started yet. I just started building out playlists, but I'm like afraid of even where to begin or what direction to go. And like, how did you have an idea for your sound or did you just kind of like mess around and figure it out from there?
It's evolved over time. Like I'll admit, like when I first started DJing, it was a lot of like soul wax, a lot of remixes of bands at that time. So like Block Party or the Yeahs, stuff like LCD Sound System, Neon Indian, like Phoenix. Like we were listening to that kind of music. Like indie rock music that also works as dance music. Like that's kind of like what we were doing. And around that time, maybe a year or two later, was like when I heard Justin Martin's music for the first time. And then that became an introduction to Dirtybird and kind of that stuff. I would say anybody who's just starting out, play what you like. Like, don't think too, like, don't overthink it. Play what you like, figure out what sounds good together. And if you need more advice, I would say the advice that James Murphy gave me, I stood outside in the freezing cold to see James Murphy DJ after LCD Sound System broke up. And I was like, I'm just starting to DJ. I'm like in my early 20s. What advice would you have given yourself if you knew this was the road that you're going to go down? Like, what advice would you give to a new DJ? And the advice he gave me was, stop worrying about what's new. Just worry about what's good. And I think, especially in the day and age that we're living in, where you have a new Beatport Top 100 every 3 days, there is a lot to filter through, right? And the big, huge, anthemic bangers that we think about, very few of those are still going to be around a month, 2 months, 3 months from now.
Right.
Rumble's been out for 3 days. I'm over it.
Right.
Like, you know, not to say it's a terrible song. It's great. It's a banger. It's whatever. But I've known about that song for 5 days. 5 days in, I haven't even had an opportunity to play it out. I'm probably not going to play it out.
Yeah, you're good.
Like, that's, you know, so very few songs have staying power anymore. However, the ones that do, we constantly go back to. For me, those songs, for example, are songs like Role Models by Walker and Royce on Self-Help, which came out in 2017, which is crazy to say. Justin Martin's remix of Stay by Henry Krinkle, that's a 10-year-old track. All My Friends by LCD Sound System, that came out in 2007. There's songs that stay with you,
right?
That no matter how old it is, you play it in a club and people instantly snap back to the first time that they heard that. And you can't say that about every single song. Like, what's the song? Shit. What's the song that's like in the club, we're shaking ass, all the girls want backstage passes.
Oh, like, yeah. That just came out. The lipstick, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Fine. Whatever. That song, and this is not a dig, I'm not trying to be mean. That song, I'll be surprised if it's still being played out 6 months from now.
Well, the lead up to that was I was going to say, I'm already over it because the lead up was so long. It dropped and I've listened to it maybe twice and I'm already like, okay, that's done. We played that enough. Yeah. I feel you.
But that other song that John Summit made, which I would put him in the same echelon as whoever that artist is. I actually think it came out on John Summit's label. But John Summit made a song, I think it's called Human.
Yes.
Might have come out like last year or the year before. I saw the live stream of him playing Coachella, and he blended Hans Zimmer's score from Inception with that song, and he opened his set with it. And watching that, I went, this is now for all of these people in that tent. The song that every time they hear it, it's going to bring them back to that moment.
Yeah.
There's very few songs that still do that to this day. And so I would say, focus on the things that make you feel that way. And don't worry too much about whatever the new hot track of the moment is. Because those come and go. My USBs are filled with them. But there's probably only about 200 or 300 songs out of the thousands on my USBs that I come back to time and time and time again because they make me feel happy. So that's the advice I would give to you or to anyone else who's thinking about doing this.
No, but it's strange that you said that because I found myself last night when I was making the playlist, asking myself that exact question, because I was going back through and there were a couple tracks that were older at this point. And I literally thought that to myself, I was like, well, shouldn't I be picking new tracks that maybe people haven't heard of yet so that it's something like new to them? And then I was like, no, I want to add some of these songs that I've had in my liked for like 2 years now. So I'm very glad that you said that, because that makes me feel better about my choices. And well, I'll have to let you know how the first few sessions go after I dabble a little bit more. We'll
Yeah.
see.
To update what James Murphy said, don't focus on new stuff, only focus on good stuff. I will reinterpret that with a 2023 lens.
Yes.
Bangers come and go. Good music lasts forever. So Des,
Perfect.
take that for what it is. Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna just ask kind of like a couple more questions to wrap up, because that was such a good note to wrap up on. But I know I don't know if you're a big person on resolutions, but for this year, like what for you at this point in your career are those next big milestones? Like for you, if you were like writing out or journaling, like these are the things I want to happen this year, like what are those things on your mind, if you don't mind sharing?
Advocating for myself, um, and asking for things that I feel I deserve instead of just accepting whatever is given to me. Treating myself with more respect, I think, is also part of that. But I have a tendency to be really down on myself, and that's just me being real with you right now. And so I want to continue the process of asking myself why I do that to myself and deconstructing the things, the quirks or whatever that got me to that place in the first place. As far as music goes, there's a lot of people I would love to collaborate with. And I'm going to put them out in the universe right now.
Yes.
So let's hope it happens. I would love to collaborate with the Blessed Madonna. I would love to work on a track with LP. So if LPGOB is listening, like I'm here. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this or not, but I am collaborating on a track with Justin Martin at the moment. And I would like to continue collaborating with him because he's such a good human being. I would like to collaborate with Kevin Knapp, who is a dear friend, but we just haven't had the opportunity to make that happen. And as far as releases go, like I feel like the music, and this is me speaking maybe out of turn, but I feel like the music I'm making now kind of defies the formula of like 2-track double singles or EPs or whatever. So like I want to have a conversation with someone at like Warner or Interscope, like put me in that disclosure lane, like because I have a lot of interesting things that I don't think would fit on a label like Dirtybird or Insomniac or Desert Hearts. I'd like to see a release on Ninja Tune. It's a label I really look up to. I would really like to work with Prospa's team. I think Prospa was one of maybe the best sets I saw at Hard Summer. Really love the music that they're making. And I think they're somehow involved with this label called Part 4, which also puts up Barry Can't Swim, and Barry Can't Swim is an artist I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And if I had to throw a curveball in there, 3 vocalists I would love to work with would be Beth Ditto from The Gossip, London Grammar, and who's a really outside the box artist thing? Dave Matthews. Let me work with Dave Matthews.
Fuck
like,
yes.
Let's like let me make a house track and have him be like, right. Like, I'm here for that kind of energy. Like, let's do it.
Yeah. That makes it fun.
Yeah. So
Hell yes. Powers that be that are listening, let's make it happen, please.
I like this. Give me a speed round. Give me a speed round. Let's
Oh
go.
shit.
I
Oh my
love
God.
this.
Okay. Ooh, what's a good speed round? What did you ever have any DJ fails? Any like moments where you're like, fuck.
Oh my God. At Hard Summer this year, huge DJ fail. I think I start and stopped the track like during my set by accident. Like I hit the wrong
Aw,
one and
yeah.
caught it and was like quick enough to be like, boop, like
Yep.
have it back. It was just like, oh yeah, that was a hiccup for sure. Um,
You
let's
recovered
see.
it. Yeah.
I recovered it. There was also a time, and this is a lesson to any new DJ. There was a time when I asked to go back to back with an artist at a show that I opened for, and they were playing, and the person who was closing that night couldn't come. We found out while we were performing, couldn't come, and so the person I opened for was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to play through the rest of the night or whatever. And like, I started getting a little anxious. And so for the last hour, I was like, hey, like, do you want to go back to back for a little bit?
Yeah.
And this person was playing on vinyl. I was playing on USBs.
Yeah.
I was way out of my element.
Okay.
And I recognize that. And I'm like, you know, to new DJs that are out there who want to go back to back with the DJ, maybe sometimes that impulse is better left just going to the back of your brain. Just don't.
You know what? Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, just let them do what they're doing.
Right,
Go have another drink, maybe leave, get something to eat, take a nap. Like, but
yeah. That's so funny. I've always wondered how those moments go though, where, cause like, I know you said at Dirtybird, you were kind of like, let's just go with the flow and whatever happens, happens. And I've always wondered like how that actually feels. Like if you like more preparation, you know what you're in for versus like those spur of the moment, like cool shit that can happen. Like, are you here for that or?
Right. At that point, when I did that thing, I had only really been DJing on CDJs for probably a year. And this is a DJ who had been playing on vinyl the majority of their career for probably a decade. So I'm not going to say who it was because I looked like an idiot and I would hate for this to go out on the internet and have that person go like, so how was it like performing with this person? And they'd probably be like, it was a nightmare. And I don't need that level of drama in my life.
Sure.
So,
that's so funny.
But yeah, I would say in situations like Dirtybird Campout, though, it's a little bit different. Like when you walk up to a renegade, most of the people have like maybe an idea of who you are, maybe not have seen you DJ or whatever, and they're just happy to have like one of the artists on the lineup like playing, and so they're just like, you do your thing, like I'll play this and blah. And then as far as artists going back to back with one another, when you hang out with artists after a while, you start to figure out kind of what their style is like, how they mix in and out of records and stuff. And they vice versa, they kind of know how you operate too. So it becomes like a very fluid situation, which I guess is how like, which is why you see so many B2Bs on things like EDC, or like other festivals of that ilk, like Bonnaroo or whatever, is because a lot of these artists have probably at one point or another hung out with the other one and just instinctively know how their brain works. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna spitfire two more. How do you like your DJ booth to be? Like, are you somebody who likes the crowd and you like energy behind you? Do you like it to be more quiet?
I would say somewhere in the middle. I have it's funny that this is my line of work, but I have like a lot of anxiety in large crowds, like massive crowds. So I chose a perfect vocation. I like to be able to have enough space to kind of like
Mhm.
do my thing, because you've seen me play. I use all 4 decks. I'm constantly doing effects, constantly
Mhm.
doing things, looking at new songs, pulling up acapellas, like, you know, basically James hyping it, not to that
Yeah.
level. Like, he's on the other level, but like,
Mhm.
it's, I know my way around. And in order to do that, it's like kind of like
Yeah.
the wingspan rule. It's kind of like,
Mhm.
if you're in this, you might get hit.
Yeah.
Um,
So not a
uh,
Fred again boiler room situation where like I watched that video and the people are like on top of him and I'm like, I
I would
don't think I
love
could handle
I would
it.
love to do a boiler room, but I
Yeah.
also know that it would give me so much anxiety.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
like, but what I will say is that, like, when you're in that kind of environment, you do get this thrill, like this
Mm.
adrenaline rush. And
Yeah.
also, if something happens, like someone presses play, like the play button by accident, and everything stops, it's not your fault. Everybody's going to
Yeah,
blame
exactly.
the other person.
Right.
Um, and then it just becomes a thing. Like, it just
Mhm.
becomes a highlight.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
to that degree, please book me for a boiler room.
Right.
If you're listening, book me for this so that
Yeah.
somebody can mess up my set and I instantly get like 30,000 followers
Yeah,
on
for sure.
Instagram because of it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh,
Um,
this has been so well, last question for you. I don't know if you
yeah,
ever had
yeah.
so any sets that like really surprised you for whatever reason, like it was either way more fun than you thought it was going to be, or it was like something in the crowd happened, like anything ever super surprising?
Is this any genre of music?
Yes. Yeah.
Two things come to mind. The
Okay.
first is I would say, like, the dance music answer, like the
Hmm.
obvious answer. I went and saw Rez perform at a music festival in the last couple of years, and I had
Hmm.
been a fan of her music prior, but to just see the level of energy,
Hmm.
just like my mind melted. Like, it was like I became a lesbian from that moment
Yeah.
on. Just like, uh love Rez. There was a live show that I was at that blew my mind. And maybe it's controversial to bring this up, but no one knew at the time. I saw Arcade Fire at a sold out show, and this was
Nice.
prior to like everything that we know now about Win Butler and kind of how much of a creep he is. Um, but they did a song on the album Reflector. I actually think it's called Reflector. Um, they were performing on stage at these massive kind of Mardi Gras paper mache heads, which they have in the music video. Like, it's like part of the music video. And that was really cool. But then out of nowhere, this man in a head to toe disco suit, like disco ball mask, like suit made to look like a disco ball, all of a sudden pops up in the middle of the crowd during the David Bowie verse of that song. And then all the lights immediately shone on that person and was
Oh,
like
wow.
spinning in the middle of the thing. And it was maybe the most cinematic, one of the most cinematic moments that replays in my head.
Hmm.
Uh, just like rent free. Like,
Yeah.
I think about that uh, quite a lot.
That's amazing.
So
I
yeah,
better come to your set in the future and there's someone dressed in a full disco suit and it's like a recreation of that moment. We need to see it.
that would be incredible. I
Yeah.
would love that. I would love that.
Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun. I'm going to let you go in a second here cuz he's getting a little a little restless here, but this was awesome. Thank you for getting deep with me and sharing all those stories, and I'm like I
Yeah, of
said,
course.
I'm so excited for this year for you and anything we can do myself for the Rave Culture Cast community. Let us know. We love you and we want to support what you're doing.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
here's an idea,
Yes.
and I don't know if you want to run with it,
Yeah.
but if you want to throw this to the team at Insomniac, what I would love to do with you at an EDC of their choice is, I think it would be fun to have a camera person follow us around and we interview people on the snacks that they're eating, like waiting in line for, just being like, oh, what's that you got there? Oh, it's like, oh, that's great. That's crazy. For the gram, will you take a salacious photo with that food item? Yeah. Or like, how much of that do you think you can eat at once? Well, just I would love to do like a Billy on the street type thing.
I'm so glad you said. I'm so fucking here for that. We talked about it this past Vegas. I was gonna do some like crowd work and it never ended up happening. So I'm glad you said that. I'm here for it. The festival community and the interviews I'm starting to see in the crowd make the best content, and I'm about the snacks. So yes, sign me up.
Yeah, I would love that.
Oh, awesome. Oh, wait. And where can everyone connect with you? Plug the social handles, all that.
Oh my goodness. Well, first and foremost, I put out a track at the end of last month. It's a remix of LPGOB and Baklava's Sinner. Came out on Defected D4 Dance. If you haven't pulled it up, listen to it on Spotify, please do that. Because that 1/16th of a penny that goes into my pocket is going to add up one day. You can follow me on all socials at babyweight music, no underscores, no weird spelling. And my record label Chub Rub is at Chub Rub Music. We're going to try and relaunch again this year. We took a hiatus after the pandemic. But I think we're ready to launch it again. We've got a lot of really great creative music that kind of sitting on, and we've waited way too long, and I'm happy to do that. And as far as any other plugs, just make sure that you stay hydrated and tell somebody you haven't talked to in a long time that you care about them. That's really all I've got. So.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, I will link everything down below. I'm excited to see what's coming with the label as well. But thank you again so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I'm excited for this year you're having.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Hang tight, everybody else. I'll be back with some news. All right, fam, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Babyweight. That was one of the most important conversations I've definitely had in the podcast so far. And I really, really hope you enjoyed getting to know her, about her music, her story. Please go support everything she's doing. Links will be down below if you want to connect with her. Feel free to reach out and say that Rave Culture Cast sent you. And now for our Rave Culture Cast recap. It's been a minute, guys. So there's too many lineups to talk about. I'm just going to name some of the lineups we've gotten in the last few weeks, which has been crazy. So we have Sunset Music Festival, Bonnaroo, SXM Festival, North Coast, Escapade, and Coachella all dropped lineups, which I know can be very overwhelming. What I'll say off the bat is, depending on the genres that you're into, where you live, the size of festival you want to go to, I would base your decisions off of that, your budget as well. Obviously, Sunset Music Festival has a lot of the typical EDM suspects you would expect. It's a 2-day festival in Tampa. Bonnaroo, I know a lot of people are excited about it. This is a 4-day event, I believe, camping music festival, and it's a mix of genres. So you have everything from Kendrick Lamar to Odessa to the Foo Fighters. So I know people are very excited about that. Then you have SXM, which is a smaller boutique destination festival that's primarily house and techno on the island of St. Martin in March, which is absolutely beautiful. I really want to go to that one in the future. So for me, this lineup appeals a lot to me because you have some really amazing house and techno acts on there. So if you're looking for a vacation and a festival, that could be a good option. North Coast dropped their lineup, some really, really big EDM names in here. This event, as of last year, has moved completely to dance music. It used to have a variety of genres, but now it is completely EDM related. So they have a pretty big lineup as well. And then Escapade Music Festival takes place in June. I believe this is in Canada. They also, again, just have like some really big names, major headliners that you guys would recognize. So I wanted to throw that one out for you. And then, of course, we finally got the heavily anticipated Coachella lineup, which I personally think is incredible. I do have a video coming out where I'm going to do a breakdown of all the dance music artists on here, because that is what my channel is all about. So if you guys want to know who I would recommend seeing, definitely check out that video on my personal YouTube channel. But overall, very impressed. The major headliners, I don't listen to any of them: Bad Bunny, Blackpink, and Frank Ocean. So those personally do not appeal to me at all, but I know for a lot of other people they do. So you guys have that as well. And then lastly, I'll quickly touch on this because it's a huge announcement. Electric Daisy Carnival Insomniac Events announced that they are launching a cruise ship event called EDC, and that's going to be taking place this November. I will not be going on that. I will be going on Groove Cruise in January, you guys. So if you still need tickets to Groove Cruise, just know we have a family code. It is Rave Culture Cast, all one word, and that will get you $50 off per person per room. I am staying with my crew on the 11th floor, so if you guys want to use my code and book with us, feel free to book on the 11th floor so we can all be together. And again, that is Groove Cruise's 20th anniversary sailing next January 2024. It's my first time doing a cruise ship festival, and I'm so excited about it. I have a lot in store for you guys. I'm going to try to put together some live interviews and maybe a live podcast, some panels, really fun things like that. So hopefully you guys join me at Groove Cruise. I will put links down below for all of that good stuff. And I think that's it. The only other thing that was kind of going around is that Calvin Harris is back in the studio with Elle Goulding, which is really exciting. So hopefully we'll have a nice collaboration out of them again. He is on the Coachella lineup, so we are getting some more Calvin Harris, which is exciting. So hopefully he'll do maybe like a festival run at some point, but I know he doesn't really play a lot of live shows other than like stints he does in Las Vegas. So that is everything, you guys. Again, welcome to the new season. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I have some big guests lined up. I have some really exciting stories to tell. I just really want to continue to push this podcast forward and bring you some cool episodes. So we've got a lot in store, and I'm super excited about it. So you know the drill. Rate, review, subscribe, share this to your Instagram stories today if it resonated with you. Anything you can do to help spread the word about Rave Culture Cast means the world to me, you guys. So thank you so much for doing that, and I will be back next Wednesday with a new episode. Bye, guys.